hello to everyone. My name is on my badge. My name is Antoinette Ball. Of course, we coordinated and hosted this workshop. I'm one of the founders of the Women's Entrepreneurial Opportunity Project Incorporated, WEOP. It is a nonprofit women's organization located in Grant Park in Atlanta. And we like to say that we do all things to educate, empower women, especially women in business. And we do have some great men that are part of our circle as well. So I want to say hello, welcome to our series today. I want to introduce our speakers. I'm going to begin by introducing Ira Royal. And Ira is our speaker. You're in for a treat today, ladies and gentlemen. Ira is the founder of iTalk Credit. He's been in 18 years in the financial services industry. He also worked in IT and product development and consulting. He is currently also an adjunct professor at Mercer University, where he teaches a series of business courses. He was formerly with Equifax, and during his presentation, he's going to share some background about his experience working with Equifax. Ira is on a mission to educate and inform entrepreneurs about business and personal credit. So you are in for a lot of information and in for a treat when you hear Ira speak. Also, we have our sponsor here from BB&T, now Truist Bank, Tamika. Tamika is my partner in crime. I've known Tamika now for about 4 or 5 years. She is a great advocate for women in business. Tamika has been in banking for 18 years, and most of her experience has been with BB&T, which is now Truist Bank. She is currently the Business Development Officer, and she helps to educate small business owners in unbanked and underbanked markets as it relates to financial services in Atlanta. Truist Bank, I'm proud to say again that they are one of the sponsors for our workshop series. And I just want to say, Tamika, thank you for all that you do within the community. And thank you for being one of WEOP's sponsors. We really appreciate and love you. So Ira and Tamika, two great, wonderful people passionate about education, educating entrepreneurs and small business owners. So we're going to get started, and thank you for being here with us today. And I'm going to not chime in and rain on your parade. I'm going to let you guys handle it. You know, you can go back and forth, and I'm going to turn it over to you so we can start this great presentation. Thank you. And also, I want to encourage everybody to stay on mute so there's no interfering. And Latasha, she's going to be with us to kind of man controls. If you have any technical issues, please let us know. Send it to WEOP Events. And we are going to go ahead and get started. Let's get this show on the road. And I would also make sure that if you guys have it, we're going to be using the chat. So Tamika's going to be watching the chat because we have so many people on the call. We might not have time to, call on everyone. But Tamika, you're watching the chat. Pay close attention. If you guys have any questions or if you have any comments, please feel free to utilize this chat. And Tamika, as we have more people join us, then you can, remind everybody to put their questions in the chat and you'll watch.
There's another chair in the volume for you to say.
I'm sorry? I'm sorry, Ira, did you say something?
No, that wasn't me.
Okay. The chat box is on, so we'll be watching the chat as well.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to you, Tamika. You can get started and
Fantastic. Thank you, Antoinette. And Ira is going to kick us off, and I'll just be chiming in where necessary. But Ira, we are looking forward to hear your words of wisdom today. So thank you so much, sir.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to talk about keys to managing business credit. First, we're going to, a little bit about myself. My name is Ira Royal, founder of iTalk Credit. I'm a certified credit counselor, certified financial counselor, certified home ownership counselor. A lot of certifications just mean I like school a lot, right? But this is truly my passion. And one of the things that I like to tell people is from the industry knowledge that I have, and we're going to go over that in a little bit, really, I think my superpower is I use my industry knowledge. I use all of the companies that I've worked for, whether it's been a bank or a credit union or Equifax. But for me, it's my own personal experiences in finances. And to be completely honest with you, it's been all the times that I fell short. And that's important to me because, I always let people know that, I spent way more time on the other end of the spectrum struggling with my personal finances than on the opposite end. And so my approach to counseling, my approach to webinars. It's really empathetic. It's sympathy. It's motivation. It's challenging people, but at the same time understanding that things happen. So the people that I do counsel, that's how I approach it. And I believe everybody on this call, whether you're here to get more information about business credit, whether you're here because you want to hear tidbits on personal credit, whatever it is, you can change your reality, right? You can change whatever that's going on right now, whatever your past experience is, you can change that and you can reach your financial goals. You can do it. So I always like to start there because I think it's important. So my experiences, why is this guy talking to us, right? So we're looking at corporate America. I did a lot of things. I worked for Wachovia, right? Wachovia is not even here anymore. So I worked for Wachovia. That was like literally the first institution that I worked for in 2006. I was a banker there, and I was a teller there, I'm sorry. So I used to go there in between classes when I was in college, and I was what they called a 0-hour teller. After I graduated, I was a financial advisor for a while with Northwestern Mutual. I did some stuff at credit unions, Generations Credit Union, First Choice Credit Union as a home ownership counselor. I worked at First Citizens Bank, Royal Bank of Canada, Regions Bank, Equifax, Bank of America, some fintechs. And now I mostly do IT consulting and really help people on their product delivery mix. From an entrepreneurship perspective, again, founder of iTalk Credit, I have my own consulting company where people hire me for project management and agile enablement and product delivery. Yellowbird is a organization I'm a part of, which I'm extremely proud of. And then coming soon in a year or so, B2B financial coaching, where we'll be working with Reentry and other organizations doing financial coaching. And then, of course, on the Rise Center, I was financial coach, Urban League, Operation Hope, and then First Choice Credit Union. So again, this is all the stuff, and I left a couple of things off of here, but these are all the things that I mean when I say, like, I have some industry knowledge, but again, the most important thing for me is the experiences with finances, getting some things right, getting a lot wrong. But I try to take all of this into consideration when I approach a client or when I do any type of webinar or seminar. So I want to start with this quote. This is like, I don't know if I came up with it, but I haven't heard anybody say it, so I'm going to just say I came up with it. Debt is not a substitution for creativity. I truly believe this. I don't want you to take this as I'm against business credit, I'm against credit at all. I'm not. But a lot of times as business owners, I believe, we think that if we just get that, business credit card, if we just get that business line of credit, if we just get that business loan, all of our problems will go away. I'm here to tell you that's not necessarily true. A lot of times it adds a lot of complexity, another layer of complexity to your business. Sure, it can kind of help a little bit in certain things, but I want you to all understand that debt is not a substitution for creativity. Once you get that loan, that business credit card, whatever that debt instrument is, I want you to make sure that you are still using your creative mind to be able to drive your revenue. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times, if you think about you getting a loan, right, especially from a business perspective, one thing is going to be for certain moving forward. No matter if you sell 1 unit, no matter if you sell 10 units, 100 units, one thing is going to be certain: you're going to have a loan payment every single month. So I want you to understand that, and I want you to be do your due diligence, and I want you to be extremely careful when you're out here and you're looking for loans. I always say we have to move from just being happy with yes, and we have to understand how these tools impact us for the good and the bad. So I want you to be well-rounded, and I want you to be aware of how things can impact you, your personal finances and your business finances, okay? Alternative lending options. And this is a part of that debt is not a substitution for creativity. Let me ask you a question. Who in here, and please put it in the chat section. who in here would actually ask friends and family for to lend you money for your business? Okay, Ms. Logan said, nope, no. Okay. No. A hard no for me. Okay. I wouldn't have. Okay. Not at all. Immediate family only. Okay. So here's and this is my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking friends and family to invest in your business. And I think that's how we go about it sometimes. I want you to, if you've ever considered it, I want you to treat them just like you would treat a banking institution. I want you to treat them just like if you were going on Shark Tank, right? And just for a quick shout out, if you're not watching Shark Tank as a business owner and you're actually looking and preparing yourself for business funding, man, you're missing out. They ask you almost verbatim everything that these underwriters really look for. They ask you about your earnings. They ask you how long you've been in this industry. They ask you, what's your payback period. They ask you about profit margins. So if you're looking at that, you're understanding some of the terms financial institutions really use to make some type of decision. So friends and family, what I want you to do, if you're actually looking to do that, I want you to sit down, I want you to draft a presentation, and I want you to approach that the same way you would going into someone's office and presenting them a business plan and presenting them a payback period and presenting them profit and loss statement and forecast. And I'm not saying you'll get a better result doing that. Who knows, right? But what you will get is practice. Okay, you'll get practice. And then when you get in front of maybe a financial institution, and if you have a conversation with them about your finances, about your business, about where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, then you'll be used to having that type of conversation, okay? So friends and family, I don't want you to shy away from that. I know some of us won't do it because, we've been led to believe that we have to keep our vision and hold it tight and not share with anybody. That's like a buzzword that people say, don't share your vision with anybody, protect it. Some of that might be a little bit true, but I believe you never know who you're going to meet. I believe you never know who you're going to come in contact with. And just because a person says no, they actually might be able to share a network opportunity with you. They might be able to share some gems, some wisdom with you that can help your business thrive. So sometimes we have to, have some trust there, okay? What about GoFundMe? Who in here would actually use GoFundMe to drive business revenue? Well, not necessarily business revenue, but like have an injection of cash.
And while people are putting some comments there, Ira, I did want to add, when you're sharing your vision, you need to have 2 different type of spiels or scripts, right? The one is the high level overview to explain to people, just to give them just enough so they get an idea of what it is. And then the more detailed nitty gritty version, right, that may contain more of your intellectual capital, which I think is a lot of the reasons why people don't self-disclose, right, Ira, would you say? Because they're afraid someone
Absolutely.
else will take that idea. So if they can formulate maybe at least a high level 30-second commercial that gives them just enough to make them want more, but it doesn't give them all the secret sauce.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I believe it's, being consistent in delivering that is that exercise that you need, no matter where you are, that you can rattle that thing off and you can let people know your why behind your business, who you are, and potentially how you can be an asset to their business, right? And it's about relationships. We'll get into that a little bit later. So GoFundMe. No GoFundMe. No GoFundMe. Here's what I'll say about GoFundMe. GoFundMe, you never know who's out there. I've actually seen companies raise capital GoFundMe. You never know who's out there, these angel investors that want to invest in people's dreams. So what I always tell people is try every avenue. Let them tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. If you put something on GoFundMe and you have a link and you share a presentation deck, maybe you get an animation explainer video, and get these things, and you can really explain what your business model is, I believe you might have a little bit of success. Again, don't tell yourself no, let other people tell you no. So I don't believe there's anything wrong with GoFundMe. And what I'm trying to show you is you definitely have options, but sometimes we have this fear, right? We have a fear of begging. We have a fear of begging. And I don't think it's begging at all. It's exhausting all your resources, okay? It's exhausting all your resources. So try Friends and Family, try GoFundMe. Most of us in here, we're probably using a side hustle, right? Side hustle to invest in our businesses. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Let me ask you this question, and usually it's split right down the middle. Would you take out equity in your home, or would you take out money on a 401k to invest in your business? Yes. Yes. Awesome. Okay. This is good. Okay. Perfect. Usually I get a whole bunch of no's. And what I say to that, again, this is my perspective, and don't go taking all your money in your 401k out to my Ira said so. I'm going to deny it and act like I don't know you. But you have to believe in yourself, right? Believe in your abilities to be successful. And even if you're not, it's going to be a lesson learned, but you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in you, why should anybody else? And I saw a question, do you think, let me see.
It was a question
do you
about
think animation videos?
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you think animation videos are good for marketing strategy? Absolutely, I do. I think they're good. We'll get into like 30-second, 1-minute animation videos, put some music behind them, and you can really explain your business, your product and service. And I think they're really good. You can send them out on email blast. You can put them on LinkedIn. You can put them on Instagram, Twitter. But it's a short way, and it's a creative way of sharing who you are and what value that you bring, okay? So yeah, animation videos, awesome. I've actually had one made. I went to Fiverr, however you want to say it. And it's not that expensive either. So yeah, definitely check it out. Make sure you build a strong foundation. And what I mean by that is we're going to talk about that a little bit more about forming a team around you that can help you, guide you through the process of, one, preparing for business credit and maintaining your credit, okay? Do not sacrifice quality early. And this goes back to debt is not substitution for creativity. Because like I said, one thing that will be true, will remain true, is you will have that business payment, that business credit, that business line of credit payment throughout the duration of that term of that product. And so here's what happens a lot of times. Here's what I've seen happen. Now that I have this business payment that I have to make, regardless if I sell 1 cake or 100 cakes, now I have to start looking at the quality. Now I can't get the most expensive ingredient. Now I have to look at profit margin. Now I have to consider other things as it relates to my business to make sure that I'm making as much profit as possible because I have these expenses now. And so I just want you to be careful and be aware. It's just all about being aware, right? All about being aware and all about being knowledgeable about different things that you get into, because like I say all the time, just because you get a business loan, it does not mean it's going to fix all of your problems, okay? Own the process. Forming that A team, okay? I believe having an accountant, a business attorney, business mentor, and a banker, shouts out to BB&T now, Truist, that's going to be super important, right? If you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business owner, you need to have all 4 of those. Now, I understand you're a startup, and you might say, Ira, this is expensive, okay? There are so many services out there, companies out here who are not expensive, that they won't, they don't even use retainers. They are ad hoc basis. But you need to start forming that team around you as soon as possible, because what you want to do is you want to make sure that you build that foundation of your business correct, and you're not doing it 5 years down the road. You're not doing things like not paying taxes, right? And just zeroing out all of your business expenses on your tax returns. And so maybe you make, I'm just throwing a number out here, maybe you make $30,000 in your business, but on your tax returns, you are, taking off like $25,000 in business expenses. Guess what? You're not going to be able to qualify for anything. And a lot of businesses make that mistake, right? Especially early on. So I really want you to form that team around you so they can help you make good business practices and good business habits early on. So you don't have to get 5, 10 years down the road when you say, okay, now I want to invest in an asset, and now you have to switch your whole business model, okay?
I couldn't
Doing
agree
your
more.
due diligence.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to chime in real quick, Ira, on that, just to support what you said about the finances, reporting your income, because the bank, whatever you deduct, the bank is going to deduct too when it's looking at your income that you report. So therefore, that's what we're going to qualify you for. So you are spot on with that, Ira. Thank you for pointing that out.
No problem. So I see someone made a comment, and most people who take out money from the 401k never put the money back. Well, that's very subjective. You know, I think if you surround yourself with an A team and you surround yourself with people that can give you really good advice, maybe you won't make that mistake. But I know a lot of people who put their money back in their 401ks. They have a payback period. And so, you know, they understand that money was put in there to invest for retirement, but it was also put in there to help them, you know, with investing in maybe their business or doing other things with it. It's your money. You work hard for it. So I wouldn't necessarily use that frame of mind. I would keep it positive, and I would say if you want to take it out, then put yourself on a business payback plan, right? And you have to be consistent. There's some accountability there. So absolutely. What do you think about prepaid legal?
There you go. You got it. I was going to mention that question, but you got it.
All right. What do you think about prepaid legal small business products? I don't think it's bad. I mean, I know prepaid legal is a lot better than what it used to be. I just remember when prepaid legal first came out, I thought it was a scam, but I don't think it is anymore. And so, you know, I think that you have access to a network of attorneys or paralegals that can really help you, right? They can guide you through some type of legal process with documentation and things like that. So I'm for actual attorneys. I think there's nothing wrong with getting an attorney. There's a lot of absolutely wonderful attorneys, business attorneys here in Atlanta. They can help set up your contracts. They can help you with partnership agreements. They can help you with anything that you're thinking of. If you're trying to form a relationship or a partnership with a vendor, they can look over those contracts as well. So, yeah, maybe try it out, see if it works for you, but also look at other attorneys, right? And then interview them. There's nothing wrong with that. Interview a couple of attorneys and see what they can offer you. Okay? Legal Shield is great. Awesome. All right. And then read. The Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Forbes. I hope what you're getting here is you have to surround yourself with that A team, and you have to do a lot of due diligence, and you have to be well informed. And I know a lot of you already are on here, so I'm probably just speaking to the, you know, I'm just speaking about things that you already know. But at the end of the day, it's making sure that we are aware, right? We are aware of things and businesses that can help us thrive and things that can serve as that wall that we hit it, and it really, you know, slows us down from making our business be where we want it to be. Okay. All right. So now I want to jump into personal versus business. And I know you might be saying, well, why are we talking about personal? Because, you know, this is key to managing business credit. Well, I want you to know this. For the most part, especially when you're starting off with business credit, they're going to look at your personal. Who's they? For the most part, it's any financial institution, fintech, and any traditional bank. And so a lot of times people think you can escape the personal side by going to the business side. And that's just not true, okay? So I'm going to go over personal credit topics because I want you to be aware that if you're struggling on the personal side right now, how to change that, right? How to turn that corner so you can put yourself in the best position to thrive on the personal side and the business side. And we're going to talk about balance. And it's tough. You're juggling the personal side and you're juggling the business, but it's a necessity, okay? And so personal versus business, just a couple of things. Which major agencies maintain your score? Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion on the personal side. And on the business side, Equifax, Experian, and Dun & Bradstreet. We're going to talk about Dun & Bradstreet a little bit more. They are the largest database as it relates to like business credit. Where do bureaus get their information? Personal credit bureaus draw from public and court records, credit card issuers, lenders, and collection agencies. I think it's very important to understand that they're called data repositories. What that means is they get their information from all these other lending institutions. They get that information in-house, and they have algorithms that then in turn give you some type of credit model that allows people to determine if you are quote unquote credit worthy. Okay. Business credit reporting agencies draw from public records as well, lenders, vendors, and personal credit reports. How do late payments impact the credit? Payments more than 30 days late usually appear on the report. Both late and early payments are reported on the business average days beyond term, or BBT. We're going to talk about that when we get into the payday score. So the score, all right. And first I want to make a determination, okay? Most people, when they talk about credit, they use the score and they talk about the report and they just kind of throw them in together, right? It's, you know, my credit report. I want you to look at the score and I want you to look at the report. They are two totally different things. The score is actually an ancillary feature on that credit report. During my time at Equifax, one of the things that I did was I managed close to 100 relationships with financial institutions across the United States. And my job was to make sure they had the most updated score on their credit reports, their credit profile reports, so they could help manage their consumer base, right? So they could help make sure that they were offering the best product with the most newer trending information, so they could, at the end of the day, qualify who they need to qualify, do risk mitigation, credit marketing campaigns. But I want you to look at it as two different things. And when it comes to that score, if you're looking at, hey, how do I impact my score, right? I want you to look at this graph right here. 65% of that FICO score is in amounts owed and payment history. So when I do consulting with individuals, I focus on that 65%, right? The other 35%, we don't neglect that either, but my primary focus is making sure that they understand that 35% is your payment history. Well, what does that mean? That means we have to make sure we pay our bills on time. That is super important. That's 35% of your score. Every single month paying your bills on time. 30% is how much you owe, right? And that can be called utilization as well. So your limit that you have on your revolving debt, i.e. credit cards, how much are you maximizing? How much are you using every single month at the end of your statement period? Let's just use an example. You have a $1,000 credit card and you're at $900 every month. You're closing out your cycle at $900 every month. You're paying your bill on time, right? You're making your minimum payment on time. But guess what? It's destroying your credit score. It's not, yeah, you're getting credit for making that payment, but it is not helping your credit score at all. It's actually hurting you. Okay, so that sweet spot that you want to be in is really 30% or below for a utilization. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. But really, to be completely honest with you, it's 10%. Now, the report. All right. So the credit report. So this report is used for a lot of different things. So there are credit reports that are associated with employment. And a lot of people have this big misconception that generally employers look at your credit score. So when I was at Equifax, we used to sell what we call a persona report, and that was for HR purposes. We did not give people any type of credit score, but they were able to look at that credit report, look at the trade lines, look at the public records, look at some of the other information that was on that credit report, and make a determination if they wanted to hire you or not, right? So again, big misconception that companies care about your credit score. More often than not, they don't. Now, are there some nuances out there and people that might have a minimum credit score? Sure. But for the most part, they care about what's on the report. That's why I say you have to understand that that report and that score are separate, and that score is on that report, okay? It's an ancillary feature of that credit report. Why I'm telling you this? Because I want you to be aware, right? I think too many of us, we kind of, this whole credit thing is mysterious. Why? Because a lot of, institutions have not done a good job at educating us on it. So I want you to be informed. I want you to understand that you can go to different places and get a credit model, get a credit score, and it can be completely different. We're going to talk about that as well, but I want you to understand why that is happening. And I want you to be knowledgeable about where you can get a credit score that most of the lenders use, and what credit scores are not traditionally used by lenders. So credit myths. Debt is debt. No, that is a myth. Debt is not debt. So revolving debt, installment debt, mortgage debt, all of those react differently on your credit report. And I'm not saying either one is good or bad, but understand product mix is a factor of your FICO score. So, revolving debt, i.e. credit cards, are really one of the tools that help you increase your credit score the most. Okay, because that utilization ratio and the way you manage that, it can really help you increase that score. Checking your report will hurt your score. Yeah, so it's what we call a soft and a hard pull. If you go to like nonprofits, if you go to different agencies where they do soft pulls, then no, that won't hurt your score. But if they're doing hard pulls, i.e. you're actively engaging in an application, then yeah, it could decrease your score. But that also really depends on what product, because for mortgages, you have about 30 to 45 day window to continuously pull that without it hurting. You might get paid one time. And the same thing for car loans, I believe, too. So you got about a 30 to 45 day window to really shop around. Closing a credit card will help your score. Very long, no. And so, especially if people come to me and they're, hey, we want to, we're interested in getting a home, and we want to get rid of as much debt as possible. I'm closing out all my credit cards. I can't tell you how many times people have told me that. Absolutely not. What I tell you to do is, if you're trying to do that, you need to wait until you talk to a lender. But closing out credit lines actually will impact your credit score negatively, because what you're doing is you're hurting your credit history. I don't know if anybody's ever been through this. Tell me in the chat section, but have you ever had a situation to where you paid off like a car and your credit score dropped?
I've had clients tell me that. Kenya says,
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh man, it hurts your heart. No, you spend all of that time making those payments, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm about to pay this off. That's less debt on my credit profile. And so, like you said, cards, credit, yeah, because you're impacting your credit history, right? So if you close that out, and maybe you've had that for 6 years, now you're losing all of that credit history. You're closing that out. So it's a give and take situation. What do you do, right? If you're finished paying for it, you're finished paying for it. And you don't have any control over that. But what I tell people is, especially if you're trying to get a loan, especially like home ownership or anything like that, then just be very careful on how quickly you try to pay different things off, because it can impact your score. And sometimes that can be the factor that reduces your score to the point where they can't approve you for a loan. So I would talk.
You are so right about that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're absolutely right. Because with mortgages, the credit score is so sensitive to the rate that you're going to get. Talk to that lender before you do anything relating to credit. Don't pay anything off. Don't open new accounts. Don't apply for insurance. Don't do anything, because one drop in 1 point on your score can take you into a whole new rate bracket. So Ira, you are spot on with that.
Absolutely. Credit bureaus give good and bad scores. No, so credit bureaus, again, they're data repositories. So they get information from the credit card agencies, from the mortgage lenders on how you pay your bills, from installment on auto loans, right? And so, again, they take that information, and through a whole bunch of algorithms, then they produce that FICO score, they produce that credit risk model, and then it's a sliding scale on where you fall, right? So just understand that credit bureaus don't give you anything, they're data repositories. I think that's so important to understand. Better jobs equal better score. No, trust me, I've seen people, really good jobs and jacked up scores. So there's no correlation between a better job and a better score. Paying debt erases history. Yes, paying debt does erase history, right? Especially if you zero out that account, if you close that account, then that will erase that credit history that you have on your profile. Disputing everything fixes your credit. All right, everybody, listen to me. I'll tell y'all something that some people might not tell y'all, okay? Dispute resolution is a strategy that is for erroneous items on your credit report, okay? Throwing spaghetti at a wall and disputing everything on your credit report. Some things might fall off, but for the vast majority, a lot of that stuff is just suppressing the FICO score, and they're doing a fraud investigation. And during that time that they're doing a fraud investigation, it does not impact your score any longer. After they're done with that fraud investigation, guess what's going to happen? If it's not falling off for whatever reason, it's going to go right back on your credit report. And we used to see it all the time in banking. People would dispute everything on their credit report. They would come into the bank and you would have a 700. And then, we do soft pulls in the bank occasionally. And then in a couple of months down the road, now you're sitting at a 530 or something like that. So understand that dispute resolution does not fix everything on your credit. It doesn't. And here's the reality of it. I would much rather you invest in the understanding and the knowledge of increasing your score, because here's what I see a lot of people do too. You dispute everything and you jump up your score 700, 750, and then guess what? Might happen again, or will probably happen again. You're gonna jack your credit right back up. You know why? Because you haven't invested in understanding the behaviors necessary to maintain a good credit score. Okay, so I don't want you to fall victim to these organizations, especially not the ones with these signs on the side of the road talking about I'll fix your credit for $100. Please don't give me your personal information, y'all. Yes. They got these signs out here with magic markers. Like, come on, we can't do that. I'm sorry.
I was just saying you were 100% right about the dispute piece. And I will just add how it relates to the bank and how it impacts the bank. People, if they do those quick fixes with those organizations you just described, because we hear and see that all the time too, is what you don't know is a lot of times when you have a line of credit with a bank or a credit card or with any creditor, sometimes they do periodic refreshes of your credit. Or Ira, are you going to talk about that? Okay, so I don't want to steal your thunder. I'm going to let you ride that then if that's something coming up.
No, you're absolutely right. When I was with Equifax, part of the credit marketing program that we did, we would have refreshes that we would do. So on a quarterly basis, we would work with the banks and they would do refreshes on their creded portfolio, and then look at the variances and look at the changes of their consumer base. So yeah, it happens all the time. And so, you have to be very careful. If there's something on your credit report that's erroneous, that's inaccurate, then yes, use that as a tool. Because guess what? There was a study done a few years ago, and they said anywhere up to 20% of the information on your credit report could be false. So do your due diligence, do your research, but make sure it's actually things that are wrong. And here's another thing. Now, lenders can actually see what's being disputed. I can actually see if you've disputed everything on your credit report when I pull your credit file. And so people that come to me, and they're talking about their credit profile and their credit score, we have that conversation. I mean, you're disputing everything. Was all of this stuff inaccurate? And for the most part, I would say about 90% of the time, that's a no. It's just somebody has guided them down a path saying, just dispute everything to start off fresh. We can't do that. We have to invest in the time to fix what's on our credit report, okay? Your credit score measures your value as a person. Absolutely not. I always tell people you can't live life with a jacked up score. I lived life with a jacked up score for a long time. It's very expensive. It's inconvenient. It's oppressive. I don't know about you, but I've sat in people's chairs knowing my score was jacked up, but I was living by this thing called hope, right? And just hoping that they would say yes. So I don't want any of you to have to do that. I want you to learn how to leverage that to reach your financial goals, but understand that those that 3-digit score is not a value. Is not a value of you as a person. Now, it is a financial report card because I believe, it's a mindset towards credit. And for me personally, I had to change my mindset about money when I was really serious about fixing my credit, and I had to stop making excuses for paying my bills late. That for me was a mindset change. I had to stop making excuses, budget, pre-plan, document my bills, and really make a proactive effort to make sure all my bills were being paid every single month, okay? Know the credit model being used. Credit Karma.
Ira, we have a couple of questions in the chat. Did you want to take those now before we move on to this next slide?
Yeah, sure.
A few about how does LexisNexis play a role, which is a very good question Antoinette posed.
LexisNexis, so I think, so I know for a while there that they were on path to become a quote unquote credit repository. They had partnership with Equifax for a while, but then that partnership was over. So I don't necessarily know what they do. I know LexisNexis, I don't know. I don't know what LexisNexis really does right now at all. Again, when I was at Equifax, we were working on a partnership with them. But before I left, they canceled that partnership. So that's a good question. I can research it for you, though.
The only thing I can add to that is I know that at one point when I was a branch leader in originating loans, there was a client I had who had done something very similar to what Ira described as going to one of those places with the magic marker on the street on the corner where he did his credit repair. His credit report looked pristine, but we had a LexisNexis report that actually showed an eviction, and this was pre-COVID. So this wasn't during the pandemic, but this was pre-COVID. And there was an eviction that was showing on LexisNexis that hadn't shown on the credit report. So I don't know to the extent that we use it now. I don't originate directly, but I think that's a good question to ask your lender as to what platforms they use or what reports they use when making their decisions. Wouldn't you say, Ira?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And really good. That's really good. I've been behind on my car payments, got caught up, and then some. I personally didn't pay it completely off so I could show on-time payments. Good. All credit is, y'all, and I try to make it as simple as possible. All credit is really the propensity for you to pay a bill on time over a long period of time, right? Consistently pay your debts. That's really all credit is. And I try to leave it there, and I try not to overcomplicate it, and I try to just focus on that. Paying my bills, keeping a low debt. Is FICO score different from credit score? Great question. FICO, which stands for Fair Isaac Corporation, they created the first credit model. And so the FICO score is a credit score, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of actual credit scores. And there's actually more credit reporting agencies than just the big three, but those are the ones with the largest database. So yes, the FICO score is a credit score, but again, there are hundreds of credit risk models. Let's see. Does it make a difference to add a statement on a credit report? You can add a statement on a credit report. I think with my FICO, you can add statements on credit reports. Are they changing reporting for COVID? I don't know. I haven't heard that they're changing reporting for COVID. I know a lot of things were happening with COVID in terms of mortgages, and then doing like forbearances and stuff like that. But you have to pay those all at one time, after 3 to 4 months. And during that time period, they're not reporting negatively. So I know that's been going on, but I don't know if any other thing has changed as it relates to reporting for COVID. Great question. You can opt out of LexisNexis. Why does Credit Karma differ from what lenders see? Great question. So Credit Karma, if you have Credit Karma, what I want to tell you first is Credit Karma is not evil. A lot of people are like, this score is different than the FICO score. The Credit Karma score, all of the three bureaus came together and they created this score together. I would say it probably has about, 10% market share. But what I will say about Credit Karma is the UI, what that means is the user interface, is absolutely amazing. I think Credit Karma has now kind of turned into like an advertisement type of sales thing where you go on there and it kind of shows you what you're approved for, and you can kind of go to other organizations and stuff like that. But the information, the data on Credit Karma is absolutely accurate. And I love the way it gives you information about your trade lines. I love the way it gives you information about your utilization. It breaks things out into revolving installment accounts. So I love using Credit Karma for the user interface and information about my credit report, okay? The only thing that Credit Karma, from my perspective, and I won't even say fall short because this is its own credit model. But the credit score that is on Credit Karma is not widely used by lenders at any stretch of the imagination. And you can be anywhere from 10 to 15 points plus or minus. So I want you to understand that Credit Karma, those scores might be different, will be different for the most part between like your FICO score. But here's why I don't want you to get so mixed up on a FICO score, right? Because there are things that affect the FICO score that are not even in our control. And if you're like me, you're looking at your FICO score every month, I'm like, OD, and I need to stop. But if you're looking at that and you're paying your bills on time, you're keeping low rates, there are things that are making it fluctuate up and down, and, it can just stress you out. I want you to focus on the behaviors. I want you to focus on making sure you pay your bills on time. I want you to focus on keeping a low utilization, keeping a healthy product mix. I want you to focus on those type of things, and your credit score will react, okay? Whether it's the Credit Karma score, whether it's the FICO score, whether it's internal brand Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion score. It will react to you doing those basic behaviors as it relates to your credit. Let's see. Different credit scores used differently. I think this is important to understand too. There are different scores for a lot of different industries. There's the mortgage tri-merge score. That's specifically used for the mortgage industry to determine if you are creditworthy to become a homeowner. There are credit card, bank card scores. There are car loan scores. There is an employment persona report. And I want you to just understand that there's just not one credit score for everything. There are different scores that different organizations, banks, lenders, whatever, use to determine a person's credit worthiness. One good site to use just to have insight to all of your scores is myfico.com. I'll put that in the chat section. Myfico.com is my go-to. It shows me my scores over multiple industries. And and I would definitely invest in that. And you can also get credit monitoring as well. So myfico.com, usually it's around $29, maybe $39 per month. It's a good investment. If nothing more, you need to be aware of what's on your file. You need to be aware of what's reporting on your file, okay? How do I restore challenged credit? Address negative or inaccurate items on your credit report. Again, when I say address, I don't mean dispute everything. When I say address, I mean, if you have collection accounts, then from my perspective, and it's two different avenues with this. If you are in the process of becoming a homeowner, then I want you to go over everything with your lender. Don't make any moves until you talk to your lender. They're going to tell you what you need to address and what you can leave alone, okay? But if you're not doing that and you're just trying to work on your credit, it's my belief that I personally couldn't rest until I got all of the collection accounts off of my credit score, credit report. Some of them I settled, Some of them are paid out in full. And so I always coach my clients that, hey, we want to address all of those things on our credit report, because at the end of the day, your credit report, it also should tell a narrative about you, okay? And so you wanted to give a positive narrative about you. You want to be able to say, hey, you know what? I struggled a couple of years. I went through some things financially, went through some things at my job, paid some bills late, but I learned, right? And over the last couple of years, I turned it around, paid all my bills on time, and this is where I'm at now. And so that credit report can actually have a narrative, right? And so you want to focus on that. Pay your bills on time and keep existing revolving debt below 10 to 30% of the credit limit each statement cycle. And I want to dive into that a little bit more. Credit utilization ratio example. You look at this, right? The limit is 5,000. You have a zero balance. Your credit utilization rate is 0. Who can tell me if that's helping you or hurting you? Hurting. Okay. That was a trick question. Right, it's neither. It's not helping nor is it hurting you. It's definitely not helping you because credit is about, again, payment history. They need to see that you're actually using your credit report. Now, here's a caveat to that. For my clients who are trying to build their credit score, I always tell them, okay, month after month, your statement cycle, keep anywhere about 10% of a balance on your credit report. On your revolving trade line. And then I said, once you get to the point where you kind of have, I would say 700 plus, then at that point, you can actually start zeroing it out because now you're maintaining. And so what I'm saying is once you get over 700 to really get over that threshold and get to 800, 850, it's really keeping as low debt as possible month after month.
Can you repeat that question that you asked? Because one of the attendees didn't hear it. And to be honest, I didn't hear it either, where you said the answer was neither. What was the question?
Yeah. So the question was on this first one, it says you have a $5,000 limit, you have a zero balance, and the utilization is 0. My question was this example, would it hurt your credit score or would it help your credit score? And the answer is neither. It doesn't hurt you or harm you. It doesn't hurt you or help you. Yeah, so especially if you're building your credit, right? If you're building your credit, you need to leave anywhere between 10%, 30 to 10% on that statement cycle, so you can show that you're actually using the card and you're keeping low balances. All right. What about the second example? You got a $10,000 limit. Your balance is $8,000. That's an 80% utilization. Is that helping you or hurting you? Definitely hurting. Absolutely. That's killing you. That's really impacting that credit score. Okay. Next example, $7,000 limit, $1,000 balance, about 14%. Is that helping you? Hurting you? Helping. So right, it's around that sweet spot, right? That 10 to 30%. So that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. Now here's what I will say on that. Even though that is, around 14, anywhere between 10 and 30%, you have to do your due diligence and understand, how much debt you want to carry month after month. There's some people out here that don't want to carry any debt. And for whatever reason. So you have to make that determination. Helping is below 30%. Gotcha. And then 22,000, 9,000, 41%. That's not really helping you that much at all. Poor credit versus no credit. Poor credit, you have collections, charge-offs, late payments, judgments, high utilization, a whole bunch of inaccurate data, no credit, no trade lines, no payment history, no credit utilization. We call this a thin file. And so there are people out here that don't have any scores. Like I've pulled people's credit report and they didn't have any scores associated with their report because they haven't used credit in 2 to 3 years, okay, or longer. And so people always ask, you know, what's worse, poor credit or no credit? I personally think poor credit is a little bit worse. Because with no credit, you can do things like get a secure credit card. You can do things like use a credit builder program to really help get that boost to increase that credit score. And with poor credit, sometimes it might be difficult to even get a secure credit card, depending on how challenged your credit is. But to my point, you can increase your score no matter where you are. You can. Tanika, do you mind taking over for like 2 minutes?
Not at all. And folks, just so you know, poor Ira, he's been powering through like a trooper today. He's actually sick, as you can probably hear, but he's still going to be here dedicated to us today. So we appreciate that. So one of the ways from what I can see on this slide is the ways you can improve your credit, which is pretty much, I mean, I think all of us on this call pretty much know these, right? If you pay all your bills using credit, that would be a great thing, right? You can use it as a debt as an alternative source. These are some of the benefits you get from having good credit, right? You have no interest on your credit cards and you get like an interest-free loan for a certain period of time, right? So it could be at 25 days or however long until your bill comes. And then it's 2 to 3 weeks after when the bill's due. So you have an interest-free loan. You can use debt as an alternative source for large payments. You may not want to take the money out of your pocket to do that large HVAC unit, right? That you have to install in your house. You may want to put it on a credit card. Maybe you have a 0% offer. Maybe you want to put it off until you get a large sum of cash in another month, right? There may be low interest rates. As I mentioned, with that offer, if you have good credit, you get 0% offers, or you get the most attractive rate there is out there. So whether it is a home, as he talked about before, whether it's a car, you get the most attractive rates out there when you have good credit. You can write your own ticket and you walk with a little bit of confidence and a bit of, it helps your ego, right? When you know that you can pretty much get anything you want when you go to buy something or to apply for something. And that is a really good feeling. You back?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I was just on the line
so
with
much.
apartments for low down payments.
No, I heard what you were saying. You're absolutely right. Credit has an emotional factor to it. It has it is so true. When you have poor or challenged credit, that fear of not being able to get something that, one, you might know you can afford. I mean, that's what that I see all the time. Maybe you make really good income, right? But your credit score is challenged. You know you can afford the payment, but you keep getting turned down, okay? It's an emotional, depressing thing to keep being told no over and over and over again. To continue to walk into people's office, to sit across from somebody knowing that you can afford certain things, and for them to say, no, I'm sorry, you've been denied, getting denied over and over and over, to the point where you just get used to it, okay? That's what I don't want you, to deal with, that I want you to move away from. And not only you, but I want us to make sure that we're teaching our kids. I want us to make sure that, when our kids are at a certain age, we're doing things like putting them on our credit cards that have really good balances and have really good payment history. You don't have to give them a card, but you are at a very young age teaching them about credit, right? And you're, helping them establish credit, right? Because, and I'll move on after this. If your kids are going to college, there are three, or even not even just college, but three things that we need to make sure our kids are prepared for. Having a mentality about savings and understanding how important that is, credit, and helping them establish credit as soon as possible. And two, understanding about investing. Whether that's investing in the index, whether that's investing in real estate, whether that's investing in the Forex, whatever that might be. But those three things, and also another one, life insurance. Man, important, okay? So credit. If you do, really focus on credit, pay all your bills using credit. This is something I think is important. What I think you should strive for is using a credit card to pay all your bills. And so, for one thing, it reduces the amount of exposure that you have, i.e., putting out your bank debit card out there. One of my roles at Equifax was I was on a data breach operations team, and we worked with companies like the FBI, the CIA, IRS, a whole bunch of other organizations. And man, identity theft is real, y'all. And I'm not saying this to scare y'all, but identity theft is real. And how many times do you put your information out on the internet? How many times do you give someone your debit card? If you're still writing checks, you're giving somebody your check. You don't know whose hands is changing, right? You don't know who has access to that information. So I think a credit card is a really good way of shielding yourself against some of that identity theft, because you are not you're really exposed the same way you are with a debit card. So paying all your bills using credit, especially if it's zero interest, maybe you're on an introductory rate, so you're not paying a whole bunch of interest there, but you're paying all your bills. Then you can actually track your inflows and outflows. One of the things about money management is managing everything that's coming in and everything that's going out. And so I like to use the credit card so I can see what's coming in. I can, save how much I need to save, and then I can pay all my bills one transfer, one check, whatever that might be at the end of the month.
One of the things, sorry, Ira, one thing I wanted to add real quick about the credit card payments, real briefly, because I know we got to move on, and there's a question in the chat, is when you pay with credit cards, another benefit that people don't think about, even if you have the cash to pay for it, some of credit cards come with extended warranties and additional protections that you can benefit from if you use them to purchase your item, including theft, if it's broken, and you don't have to pay extra for it, or additional insurance when you rent a car. So that could be another reason why you'd want to use a credit card over writing a check or paying cash or using your debit card.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. You can actually have insurance on it as well. If you lose your job, they can step in and make those payments as well. All right, let me speed up a little bit. Sorry. Take advantage of low interest rates, shed the fear of being told no, application denied, and obtain business credit based on personal history. We're going to dive into that. If you don't, you pay more for cars, houses, and credit cards. You might potentially miss out on opportunities to increase net worth, live in a hope they say yes lifestyle, which is absolutely depressing. Inability to work in certain industries. I know with financial services, it's not necessarily about the score, but it's about how much collection that you might have or be exposed to. That's a real thing. Must rely on active income, absolutely, instead of passive, and it's extremely expensive.
There's a question in the chat too that Antoinette posed, which I think is a really, really good one. If you have a business that's 5 years old or greater, do you ever get to a point where you can truly separate your business from your personal credit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think early on, it doesn't have to be 5 years. Early on with your business and personal credit, they're going to look at your personal credit. You are the guarantor, right? So yeah, they're going to look at you as the face of your business, because you are. And they're going to look at your historical data as it relates to your personal side. But what we're going to go over is, at the end of the day, it's about cash flow. It's about cash flow. And if you are, a couple of years in and you're cash flowing and the personal side is on point, i.e., you're keeping low debt, you're paying your bills on time on that personal side, then absolutely, separating yourself, that needs to happen anyway. You need to have separate bank account, business bank account, personal account, separate as much as possible, because there is a thing called, I think, piercing the corporate veil. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, separate it as soon as possible. It doesn't even have to be 5 years, but understand that they are going to look at you, your personal side, to determine if you're credit worthy. So what you can do now is pull your credit report, enroll in credit monitoring, and begin using credit to create positive payment history. Now we're going to jump into business credit. What you can do today, register with the Secretary of State website. These just a couple of things if you're preparing to get business credit, right? If you haven't done these things already, these are just basics. Register with the state, obtain your EIN number through the IRS, register with Dun & Bradstreet to get your DUNS number, get a business address, UPS or a phone number. A lot of people say, oops, let me go back. This right here, this is part of separating, that personal and business side. And, for a lot of different companies, especially vendors and suppliers, you having your own business address that's separate from your house, it actually looks a little bit better, right? Even having your own phone number. Now, listen, not gonna be a Google Voice number. No, but they don't know. Okay, so, but I think separating that phone number is definitely important to do. And then getting a business bank account. Absolutely. You do not want to do transactions in your business out of your personal account, okay? It's all about balance. We kind of talked about that. Personal credit, personal budget. It goes hand in hand with business credit, expense plan, business reserve plan. So, with all of these things, there's some commonality there. And one of the things I like to tell people is you can't just turn the light switch on and off. If you're struggling on your personal side, a lot of times it's because of the behaviors. And maybe some of these are learned behaviors. That's going to trickle over on your business side a lot of times. So we have to make sure we have balance there. We're kind of addressing both sides. Having a P.O. box is best for a business address. I know you can definitely get P.O. boxes. I think UPS or what's it called? Yeah, UPS, they can give you P.O. boxes.
Only thing I'll add with that is when you're opening a bank account, they're going to want a physical address. So you can mail everything to a P.O. box, and that's great. And we're happy to mail everything. At some point, you're going to want a physical address on your documentation. And some of those boxes can give you an address, Ira, right? I know you've seen these too, where it doesn't look like a straight up old school P.O. box 1535. It'll actually have a street address and city and state for that. So.
Right.
And I can go ahead and continue if you'd like, Ira, if you need a minute. Are you good?
I'm good to go.
Okay.
All right. Business credit 101. All right. Now we're going to talk about business credit. And I know we talked a lot about personal, but I hope you understand that we're doing that because your personal credit, it's going to determine especially from a traditional bank, if you can get business credit. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. So we talked about registering your business entity, EIN number, opening a business bank account. We talked about all of these things. Opening trade lines with net 30 vendors and getting business credit cards or business lines of credit. One of the things, especially from a supplier and vendor perspective, is the DUNS number. Who here knows or has a DUNS number?
I do.
Awesome. So a DUNS number is a unique 9-digit identifier, and it's really a starting point for your live business identity with Dun & Bradstreet. Now, a Dun & Bradstreet profile initially can be anywhere from $139 to $199. A more comprehensive report can be around $900 or sometimes even more. With all of the financial ratios and financial data and trade references. So it's not like personal credit, where your personal credit file is it's free, right? I mean, you can get it free about 1 or 2 times a year, but you don't have to pay to populate it. With business, it's different. It's a whole different animal, okay? Especially from a Dun & Bradstreet profile perspective. Now, who uses the DUNS number? Because I think there's a little bit of misconception on this, right? Banks don't really use DUNS number. They don't. who uses DUNS number? Suppliers. And I'm going to show you suppliers that use them, vendors. So people that you are doing like accounts receivable, accounts payable with, they use the DUNS number, right? Because they're using that to determine how are you paying invoices. Contracting agencies, and it's called SAM, System for Award Management, especially with any government contracts, they really require you to have a DUNS number. So that's who uses a DUNS number. Well, you say, well, Ira, since banks don't use it, is it important for me to have? Absolutely, yes. Invest in the DUNS number because you can actually work with suppliers, you can work with vendors to get some of your materials and have like net 30, net 20 payback periods. So you're building your business credit, but you're actually leveraging debt to be able to pay later instead of paying up front, right? I've never used it, so get activity. We need to use vendor accounts. For your DUNS number to increase a paydex score or to actually have trade lines associated with your Dun & Bradstreet report, yes. Some of these net 30, net 20 accounts will help you establish that. Again, but it won't necessarily help you with getting like a bank business credit card or business line of credit. What banks generally use in underwriting? And Tamika, you can definitely jump in here if you want. So a lot of them really use internal risk models, right? Things that they've created and derived themselves. They use traditional credit models. They definitely look at your bank product mix. So, and another word for that is relationship. That was huge when I was in banking. You know, and some institutions rely a little bit more on relationships than others. That's why I think it's so important for you to do your due diligence and do your research. Is the institution really small business friendly? I know BB&T is. They've always been small business friendly. And I'm not just saying that. They've always been small business friendly. Cash flow. It's about cash flow. Historical data and financial models like EBITDA and other financial models as well. That's what banks generally use in underwriting, you know, to determine if you can get some type of business loan, okay, or even personal loan for that matter. But I want you to understand that at the end of the day, it's about cash flow. You can have the best business plan. You can come in there with the best suit on. You can come in there looking your best. It's about cash flow, y'all. And I want you to know the game. I want you to be aware of this so you can invest in that A team, that accountant who can help you, you know, move away from Excel. There's nothing wrong with Excel, guys, but there's so much technology and so many tools out here now that, you know, it can help you get these balance sheets and profit and loss statements and all these other financials in a very professional way from a certified accountant, okay? And when I tell you it makes a difference, it makes a difference, okay? So it's about cash flow. They're looking at least one full year of business bank statements, 2 most recent business tax returns, balance sheets, cash flow statements, P&Ls, business debt schedules. That's just a listing of the debt that you might currently have already. Details of accounts receivable and accounts payable, things that you're paying out. Like, this is the basics, okay? At the end of the day, it's about money that you are bringing into your account, right? That's what it's about. So I want you to understand that and prepare yourself, okay?
Perfect. And I'll just add one thing real quick. Ira is 100% spot on. You can tell he has banking background and experience, and his well-rounded knowledge helps him in all those spaces. That's exactly right. So even if you have money in the bank, even if you have good credit, but if you don't have the cash flow, that's going to present a challenge. So everything he said is spot on.
Thank you. Products that can help establish business credit. A lot of times, especially if you don't have it, are secure credit, business credit cards, secure business lines of credit. So sometimes you have to put some money up. You have to put some collateral down. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? You have to do what you have to do until you can get to where you need to get to, right? And I firmly believe that. So if you have to put some money up and that's the way you're establishing your business credit card, totally fine. Now, be zero focused on creating positive payment history. So down the road, you can qualify for unsecured business credit cards, unsecured business lines of credit. But if you're looking to establish that, hey, nothing wrong with a business secured business credit card or secured business line of credit. Now, paydex score. So the paydex score, which can be found in the Dun & Bradstreet profile, is an indicator intended to reflect a business's past payment performance. What does that sound a lot like? What does that sound like? Sounds a bit like FICO score, right? Because FICO score looks at historical data, right? It's very different, and we're going to go over it. Higher number represents a greater likelihood that a business will pay its debt on time, calculated based on your trade references. I want to show you the scale of the paydex score. I think this is super interesting. If you look at the red, that's payment comes 120 days beyond terms, 90 days beyond terms, 60 days beyond terms. And let's just say your term is 30 days, right? So that means you are paying 30, 60, 90, 120. It's saying you're paying about 4 to 5 months beyond your term. First of all, if I'm a business, as we're all business owners, and you are, offering some type of product or service to somebody, you don't want them paying you 4 to 5 months after your term, do you? No, I got to come see you now, right? Like, I got to come knock on your door. So you don't want that. And so, the paydex score, it really makes sure, or it really measures how you pay your invoices. If you look at the yellow, that payment comes 30 days beyond term, 22 days beyond term. A 70 is 15 days beyond term. Again, this is beyond that term date, and we're going to go over some of those term dates, but a lot of them that's most common is like net 30. So you pay 30 days after, your invoice date. But again, this is 30 days after terms, that's 60 days, right? So still, you want to make sure you pay your invoices on time. Now, look at the 80. I think this is super interesting. Just having an 80 means the payment comes on term. Means that it's a 30-day term and you consistently pay 30 days. That's not even the highest number you can get. 90, payment comes 20 days sooner than terms. And 100 basically is point of sale, anywhere from 10 days, point of sale to 10 days, gets you the highest paydex score. So if you look at this, it's really that paydex is giving you the highest scores for doing what? Paying your invoices before they're due. And I want all of you, if you're using suppliers and vendors, understand that, this is what will help you get the highest score possible, okay, from a paydex perspective. Here's a quick guide to invoice payment terms. Net 30, means customers owe the amount invoiced 30 days after the invoice date. 210 net 30 means the payment is due in 30 days, but customers will get a 2% early payment discount if it's paid in 10 days. I think this is actually genius. And I would say if you have clients who you are extending some type of credit for them, giving a discount for them to make early payments, I think that's actually really smart. In the month, payment is due at the end of each calendar month. 15 MFI, payment is due on the 15th of the month following the invoice date, and then upon receipt or POS, payment is due on sale.
And Ira, we have about 5 minutes left. So I just wanted to give you just a little reminder on our time. So hopefully we can have some takeaways before we wrap up too.
Absolutely. Business credit starter vendors, Quill, Suma Office Supply, Staples, Granger, Uline. These are all that are really well known for allowing startup companies to get net 30 accounts. Some of these are stationary organizations. Granger and Uline, I believe they're stationary. Some of them are T-shirts. eCredible is that's an Atlanta-based fintech where they help report business credit to TransUnion. Staples is another one, but with Staples, sometimes they want you to have it's a revenue component to Staples. But if you can write these down or take a picture of them, get one or two and see if they have some supplies that you might need. And even if they don't, purchase one thing a month. Again, you're trying to build your business credit, okay?
Can you share with them how they can get their business credit score too, Ira?
Absolutely. So if you register with Dun & Bradstreet, you can actually create a business profile with D&B. And again, it can be as costly as $119, or for a more comprehensive business plan where you can get those financial scores, it's like $899. Research available lenders, direct online lenders, large commercial banks, local community banks and credit unions, peer-to-peer lending sites, and bank lenders backed by SBA. And what I mean by this is doing your due diligence and understanding what organizations can help partner with you to help you with business credit. Do your due diligence, and the most important part of that, y'all, is to interview them. Interview with them, sit down with them, and help them and have a conversation with them about how they can help your business thrive, okay? Make sure your financial statements are in order, because the lenders are going to analyze your cash flow, gross margin, debt, equity, accounts payable, AR, EBITDA, and having an understanding of these things, right? I don't want you to sit in front of a small business banker, and I want you to sit in front of a commercial banker, and they're talking about these things, and your eyes are glossing over. I want you to be knowledgeable about what these things mean and how they impact your business. Nobody's asking you to be a certified CPA or an accountant, but you need to be aware, because the company is you, okay? Anticipate how the lender will view your credit and risk profile. That's by being aware, right? Understanding what's on your credit score, what's on your credit report, understanding how many outstanding loans you have, understanding what your cash flow looks like on a monthly basis, understanding or having a document of assets in your business name right now. What's your cash on hand? Do you have accounts receivable? What are your accounts payables list? How long have you been in business? Investors in the company. And of course, your financial statements, P&L, cash flow, income statement, and balance sheet. That's why I think it's so important to have that accountant that can really help you gather these things, okay? Let's get this. I know we're rolling in. Loan security or guarantee types of collateral, company equipment, property, or accounts receivable. Sometimes you might have to put up some type of company equipment as a loan collateral or guarantee to be able to get a business loan. How much you want to borrow and what's the expected use of the proceeds from the loan. This is super important, right? Will the loan be used for equipment or capital expenditures, expansion or hiring, increase in inventory, sales, new R&D, maybe new product development, expansion into new facilities or territory? But have an understanding of what the money will be used for. If they ask you, well, what are you going to use this for? You can rattle it off. You can itemize it. You have that money has a place, right? And you can communicate that to them. Analyze key terms for proposed business loans. So understand what interest rates are on loan and how it can vary over time. Understand if there's a balloon payment associated, which means over a course of the time, it might come due at one period of your loan. How often interest is payable, if there are loan origination fees, what are the circumstances when lenders can call a default on the loan? So all of these things, again, it's about being aware of what could potentially happen with your business loan. And, all of this is about doing due diligence and asking questions, right? Again, I always say, when you're sitting down in front of bankers, you have just as much skin in the game as they do. And you can ask them questions it's really their responsibility to make sure that they're communicating that very clearly and concisely. Review your online profile and postings. This is important. I didn't know, especially for like fintech organizations, they actually look at your company websites. They look at social media. They look at Yelp reviews, the Google profiles. They look at all of these things. And this was a surprise to me, right? I'm sure because of how social media has been, taking everything by storm, there's a correlation between potential purchasing power and how much followers that you have. If you have 1 million followers, different fintechs look at that as, that is a really good determination of how much potential sales that you can get.
Of this. That's awesome, Ira. And I know you probably have a couple of slides left, and I know we're right at the 2:30 time slot. In fact, maybe a minute over. As you wrap up, can you also maybe include whether or not you'll be making the slide deck available, and also if WeOp can post this recording on their YouTube page?
Absolutely. I can definitely make this slide available. I can send it to WeOp. That's no problem at all. 2 more slides, or actually 1 more slide. Get further information on small business lending process. I think it's important to know that there are a lot of organizations out here that can help you, like the SCORES, the SBAs, the Georgia Small Business Development Center, the Urban League, Decide Atlanta, Invest Atlanta, YouTube University. You gotta, be careful on YouTube University, but there's some really good stuff on YouTube as well. Podcasts, and most importantly, mentorship. Find somebody that can mentor you during this process. WeOp, right? BB&T. So get with a bank who really, truly cares, okay? And the last important thing, y'all, closed mouths don't get fed. That's why you're here. That's why you're investing in yourself. And you're already doing what most people are not doing. And so, I know that you are going to, do wonderful things. You're going to have your personal credit on point. You're going to have your business credit on point. You're going to walk with that swag, knowing that you can walk in any door and get a yes. Not only get a yes, but get the best possible product. And you're going to take all that information and you're going to bring somebody else along with you and help them if they're challenged with personal or business credit. Okay? Thank you so much. I appreciate you being patient with me as I work my way through this. And again, my name is Ira Royal, and thank you so much.
Ira, you are amazing and outstanding, and the wealth of knowledge he had. This was on he's sick, y'all. So therefore, we still got 150% from him, even though he's not feeling well. But that just lets you know the wealth of knowledge that's there and the resources available to you. Ira, you were outstanding. Thank you very much. And I put some links in the chat for you. BB&T Now Truist does want to help you along your journey, whether you're establishing or rebuilding personal credit. Please click the link and reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you with that. If you're looking to establish business credit, I can help you with that. My contact information is there. Take a snapshot of Ira's contact information here, connect with him on his social media outlets, and call him or email him for additional advice. Thank you so much. And Antoinette, we appreciate your giving us this platform, and we'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Ira, for an amazing presentation. Thank you, Tamika, my partner in crime, for all your support and being passionate about helping women and men in credit. Ira, that was a great presentation. And we'll be posting this on WeOp's YouTube station. And also, Ira, if you share the slides with me, when I get an email, I will share the slides with anybody interested in looking at the slides as well. But check us out on YouTube, and we're sending everybody on this call a follow-up email to kind of give you a link of where we're going to post this particular video. So again, thank you, 2 amazing speakers, and thank you all for attending, and we're going to close out.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Okay, have a great afternoon. Thank you.